I need a frickin' haircut. That's much better. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Well, today we are going to be talking about a couple of mistakes that you guys might be making getting started with photography. So what I'm going to run over today are mistakes that I've made in the past when I was first getting started, when I bought my very first Canon, a Rebel XS. And these are just things that I didn't know, and I took about 200 pictures, and then I was like, why aren't these working? And this is to help you guys avoid that issue. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is shooting during golden hours. So what are golden hours? Why should you shoot during them? So as you can see right now, it's super bright outside and everything is overexposed. You can see basically my face on one side is just milky white. There we go. So what are golden hours? Golden hours are the time an hour during sunrise and 2 hours kind of in the middle and before sunset, when the sun is really nice and crisp. It's less harsh on your camera lens, so you'll get less of those overexposed. Now, you still don't want to shoot in the direct sunlight like I'm doing right now, you can see, because that will still get that overexposure. When you are shooting during the day, you're going to need some equipment. Like I have right here, a variable ND filter, which will let me adjust, as you can see, the lighting that's coming into the camera. So you want to make sure that you get one of those if you absolutely have to shoot during the day, and you can get fairly inexpensive options, but the more expensive you are, the more quality the glass. Number 2 is make sure that your ISO is set lower. So when I first started shooting pictures, I went out and I found the ISO button, and I thought that was the most amazing thing. It lets me shoot during times that I wouldn't be able to. Like I said, I had a Rebel XS. It was very bad at low light shooting. So what do? You turn up the ISO. Well, the problem is when you take that ISO and you put it in an editor, you start to see pixelation, you start to see bad colors, and it just looks grainy. Editing will cause graininess as it is, and you want to take that graininess out as much as possible. So shooting with a lower ISO, maybe changing your aperture or your shutter speed instead, is going to give you more of a crisp picture. The third thing I want to tell you is make sure that you're shooting on RAW. This seems like such a simple thing to anybody who's been shooting pictures for a while, but when I first started, I took those great pictures I had, those first 200 to 1,000, I took them in an editor and I wondered, why aren't these looking as crisp as I want them to? You start to get that same pixelation you would with a high ISO. And it's because I was shooting in JPEG. You want to be shooting in RAW. That is going to be the absolute maximum output that your camera can put out to an image. The size of your pictures is going to be larger. So you're going to go from about 5 megapixels to 17, depending on your camera, to more like 30 to 50. So when you're editing those, there's a lot more that you can do with those images. You can manipulate them more and take what might have been an average or even bad picture and make it amazing. So hopefully I can keep you guys from making those mistakes that I was making when I first started. If you guys have any more questions for me, let me know and I will try to answer them as best I can. And we'll be back here next week with another video. See ya!